One, two, three. What is up, y'all? My name is Aaron Nathan Neal, and it's been a minute, but I wanted to hop on here and talk about a couple things. And I know that I am late to these topics of conversation. However, I still want to give my 2 cents because everyone has and everyone will continue doing it. So why not me? You know, what I'm about to talk about is really the basis of why I started this podcast and why I titled it the way I did. And that is more than a party. If you've been with me since day one, then you know the reason for it. If not, then let me just quickly remind you why I titled it that. And the reason being for more than a party is that in 2020, I really felt that we were being just so conditioned to think of ourselves strictly in party lines, strictly Republican or Democrat. You know, the first thing that people were talking about or asking you, or kind of always, the conversation would always kind of go towards a specific direction, and especially in 2020 was, you know, vaccines and COVID and all these different things, whether you were for them or anti them, and the reasons, were you for Donald Trump or anti-Donald Trump, were you for Joe Biden, were you anti-Joe Biden? And as a Christian, and I'm not the only one who thought this, or this isn't, you know, necessarily an original thought, but as a Christian, we really have a responsibility to not get caught up in viewing our lives or living our lives through a political lens. We are supposed to be living our lives through a biblical lens, living our lives through a loving and caring and compassionate lens, no matter what the political lines are, or how they get drawn and how they're shifted and different things. We're supposed to have a biblical worldview. And yes, that biblical worldview tends to, or absolutely, especially in today's world, leans or is going to have you voting for a specific political party. No doubt. One of them is completely anti-God, anti-Christ, and just anti-family and all these different things. And the other one at least tries to, put you or keep God inside of the country. And so what am I saying? Or where am I getting to? When your life revolves around politics, when your life revolves around Democrat, Republican, you can get caught up in the noise. You can get caught up in what the media says and what the mainstream media specifically says, and who they tell you a person is and who they tell you a person's not. And so what that does, if you're getting caught up in it, you can begin to believe the lies and the just complete falsehoods of what the media says someone is. Which brings me to Donald Trump and him getting shot. Yes, I know I'm late. But I would just like to say that, and I'll get to this a little bit later, but what you say matters, and who you listen to matters. A 20-year-old didn't just get up on a roof and shoot Donald Trump because he doesn't like Donald Trump's name. He shot him because he listened to countless voices scream and yell at him that Donald Trump is Hitler and that Donald Trump is bringing an end to democracy. And so what you say matters, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I want to try and, which, again, I know I'm late, but just talk about the complete incompetence of the Secret Service. And I'm playing around with the new system, so if you're watching this, And boom, I just switched cameras. But it really is insane to see how just incompetent and negligent the Secret Service were. Him getting shot should have never happened. And if you are one of those people that's like sad that the shooter missed, you're a part of the problem. You are what we like to call an insane person. An insane person. Tim Kennedy really broke it down on the Modern Wisdom podcast. Tim Kennedy is just an absolute stud of a human being. But he really did just talk about the complete breakdown of the Secret Service. And so I'd like to even give my 2 cents and give you 3 things to think about. And I'm sure you already have. But I think this only happens because of 3 things. Either the Secret Service that was placed on Donald Trump is the most incompetent, negligent, just irresponsible group of men and women ever assembled, and the shooter was able to get on a roof with a rifle and shoot Donald Trump. So that's option number 1. They're just completely incompetent, which, again, is definitely true and plausible. Makes sense. Second option is someone on the inside allowed that to happen. And that's frightening to think about, but the reality is all it takes is 1 or 2 people on the inside who think Donald Trump is Hitler. Donald Trump is he's Hitler. He's destroying the democracy. All it takes is for someone to be that silly and believe those things to then agree to allow Donald Trump to get shot. So 1 is just complete incompetence. Number 2, someone on the inside. Or number 3 is they allowed an incompetent team to be put together and assembled. And then also someone on the inside allowed that to happen. And now they are using the incompetence of the Secret Service as the excuse and the reason for Donald Trump being shot. That's their reasoning. Well, it's not our best people. It's not our best team. That's why. That's the only reason why. Well, maybe that's true, but also there was a reason for the C team being on Donald Trump, and that is so you can use them as an excuse, as a get-out-of-jail-free card for why you allowed Donald Trump to get shot. And Kim Cheadle, thank God she stepped down. She should have been fired on the spot, like right when it happened. See you, Kim Cheadle. Mayorkas fired. Done. Gone. See you later. But instead, we had her going before Congress and just being so just nonchalant, arrogant about these things, the questions that are being asked her. Well, I'm not at liberty to disclose, and the FBI is actually and just excuse after an excuse on why she's not correctly answering or giving any answer for the questions that are being presented to her. Oh, I don't have a timetable, a timeline. Sorry, a timeline of the events that happened. How do you not have that? Boom, fired. And thank God she stepped down because, goodness gracious. Number 1, Biden does not have the C team on him. Guaranteed, and for good reason. For good reason. He is the president of the United States. He needs to have the best of the best snipers, the best bodyguards, the best everyone around him, because he's our president. And Donald Trump also should have the best of the best. Well, he's not president. So you think Obama has a C team? You think Obama has some ragtag team that's put together guarding him? Please. A Secret Service should not be some ragtag team that's thrown together. Like you go up to a basketball game at the local YMCA, and you're just sitting there and saying, hey, do you have a team? Do you have a team? Do you want to be on my team? Do you want to be on my team? And now you have a bunch of 5 scrappy players that you are just assembled together that very day. And it would be like a bunch of 20-year-olds, scrappy players, getting beat by like one 5-year-old. That's what happened. A bunch of ragtag people were thrown together and got beat by a 5-year-old. Thank God that guy was a terrible shot. And only by God's grace is Donald Trump alive. And like I said, all it takes is 1 or 2 people on the inside to allow for something like that to happen. And you might be like, oh, Aaron, that's just conspiracy thing. No, I'm just being real. Organizations are made up of people, and people have agendas. There are organizations that absolutely should not have agendas. For example, teachers. Oh my gosh. Wouldn't you just love it if you knew that when you send your kid off to school that she wasn't being fed just complete nonsense all the time? I'm not saying every school is like that, thank God. But wouldn't you just love that peace of mind? But instead, what? Teachers have agendas. Teachers are political. So teachers, but they shouldn't be. Teachers shouldn't have agendas. They shouldn't be political. Hey, just teach your subject, bro. Just teach your subject, sis. What else shouldn't be? Police officers shouldn't be political. Firefighters, the CIA, FBI, the court system, and the Secret Service should absolutely have no political agenda in it. But guess what? These people have been caught up in this Trump derangement syndrome, and that's a real thing, that they think that they must be doing something to counteract Trump. And if they're not doing it, then he's going to destroy democracy. And so what are they left with? They're left with violence. They're left with acting out because they feel like they have to. No, you don't. Just do your job. Just do your job. People believe things. I don't know if you knew that, but people believe a lot of what the media says. Why? Because for whatever reason, we've put so much weight behind Anderson Cooper. What? Who the heck cares about what Anderson Cooper says, except for unless he's just relaying the news? Don Lemon. Ooh. Brett Baer. Sean Hannity. Well, what's Sean Hannity have to say about this? Whatever he said, Ben Shapiro, whatever these guys say, the young turds, whatever they say, then I'm going to believe it. It's like, people do that. Even with what I say, you should say and filter it and say, okay, is what he's saying factual? Is what he's saying makes sense? You shouldn't just believe everything I say because you like me and whatever. Hey, if I say something that's not fact, hey, shoot me a DM. Shoot me a message and be like, hey, actually, this is what happened. And I'll change it. Why? What am I saying? Because I'm not perfect. And we need to be constantly having critical thinking about what we hear and what we see. We can't just buy into every single thing that's being spewed and being said about people because our heart will become hardened towards them. If I were to approach you and say, hey, Joe Smith over there is the worst guy in the world. Awful. Just evil. Awful. Cheats on his wife. Beats his kids. Is a drunk. Blah, blah, blah. You would be like, oh, wow. Maybe you've never met the guy. You would start to believe what I'm saying, right? You would start to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's the worst person in the world. Because what we hear, what we say matters. And then you meet him and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is none of those things. Doesn't do any of those things. But a lot of people get caught up and they'll meet the politician or they'll actually hear the politician talk, but they can't get over what their favorite anchor said, and they're like, oh my gosh, no, it can't be true. It's the worst. He said this, and then the guy comes out and says, I didn't say that, but you won't believe him. Why? Because your favorite person in the world said that he said it. What you say matters. What Joe Biden says matters. What Kamala Harris says matters. Listen, I'm glad Joe Biden stepped down. I felt bad for him. Didn't you just feel bad for him for the longest time? Like, he's just a grandpa, a senile old man that should not have ever been leading this country. Why? Because he wasn't thinking straight from day one. And we've been saying this. I've been saying this, that he should have never been president from day one. Obviously, I completely disagree with his policies, but also because he was falling up the steps and falling off bikes. And how evil do you have to be of a family member to allow your grandpa, your dad, your father to constantly be put in a place of hardship, like mental hardship? To just his mind to constantly deteriorate on camera. I think that's awful. That's terrible that the family members even allowed him to do that. And I guess it's okay to now say that, now that he stepped down. But that's, of course, not the reason he stepped down, because of his health. That's not the reason. He stepped down for the same democracy. He stepped down the same democracy. But I don't even know if it's politically okay to say that. I'm not sure. Because, one day MSNBC is saying that he's smart as a tack. Smart as a tack. Joe Scarborough, smart as a tack. Sharpest guy I've ever seen in my life. And then after the debate, everyone and their mother is like, he should absolutely step down. Donald Trump just clocked him over the head. And then now that he steps down, everyone's like, well, he did it to save democracy. Not because of his health. Just pick one, bro, and stick to it. These people are just all over the place. They just are believing their own lies. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how these people are just these media, MSNBC, CNN. I truly don't understand how they are just so dishonest. I mean, because it's not like someone else said it and that they're just over here not saying it. They said it. They're the ones saying it. And then they're also the ones saying they didn't say it. Like this whole thing with Kamala Harris and not being the border czar. Her team said it. She's the one that she was self-appointed border czar. Joy Reid from MSNBC called her the border czar. And then now she's like, well, actually, it's just so bad that Republicans are saying this. It's like, bro, what? You're the one that said it. Joy, that's what I'm talking about. Actually, it was Joy Reid that said, Joe Biden, are you going to commit to a black woman as your VP? And then 4 years later, now she's like, can you believe Republicans are pointing out are saying that the only reason why Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris was because she's a black woman? Bro, you're the one that said it. We're just pointing out what you said, broski. Come on. But what these people say, I don't know. They just be saying whatever. They definitely be saying whatever. like Trump is Hitler. They've been saying that since 2016, and they've been saying Republicans are Nazis since 2016. And that just clearly shows that they don't read a history book. Listen, if you believe that, turn off TikTok, turn off Instagram, go pick up a history book, and you will see who Hitler was and who Trump is, who Stalin is and who Trump is. And then actually, if you read the ideals of Hitler and you read what took place and what actually happened, you might, not in the actions, but you might actually be able to see some similarities, not in the Republican Party, in the ideals, though, of what Hitler stood for and what the Democrat Party stand for. And if I lost you, just bear with me. Which party wants a mandatory buyback of guns? Which party wants that? Which party wants to constantly regulate speech? Which party was constantly taking down, quote unquote, disinformation and misinformation when it came to 2020 and the C word? Which party? Tell me, which party was forcing you to get the V word? I hope you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get taken down. Which party said, you get this or else you lose your job? You get this or else you're out of the military. You get this or else. What's the or else? Or else you're fired. Or else you get arrested for going on a beach when you're not supposed to. Which party? Truly, tell me. Which party hates the Jews right now? Not all Democrats. Don't get me wrong. Not all liberals. But which party has a lot of anti-Semites going on right now in the public? Like the far right, they try and hide, I guess. Like they hide their faces and stuff. But then Democrat Party, man, they're in Congress. Rashida Tlaib in Congress. The Big Five or whatever they call them. I forget what I'm blanking right now. Ilhan Omar, anti-Semite. Which party rigged the primary so that RFK can't run? Which party did that? Made it so it was a closed primary. Which party did that? And which party forced their leader to step down, the Democrat Party leader to step down, and they, the leaders, the oligarchy, then placed someone who they want into a position and said, this is your new leader. Even after the people voted for Joe Biden, even after the primaries, they're the ones that voted for Biden. Talk about democracy. They completely said, screw democracy, part of my language. If you think that's a bad word, I apologize. And said, yeah, we hear you. We know that you voted for Joe Biden, but we're actually going to take him, remove him, and here's your new person, Kamala Harris. Like, we don't know who Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris ran for president. And guess what? She didn't even make it to the home state for the primary. She didn't even make it long enough for her home state where she would have been, right, the hot topic. And I'm not talking about what Obama said as far as hot. I'm talking about, like, she should have been, like, the person that California is going to, like, drool over, right? Because she's their gal. She didn't even make it far enough, that lasted that long enough for them to even have a chance to vote for her. Because why? She was an awful candidate. She was just not a good candidate. And Tulsi Gabbard shredded her. Go back and listen to that. Tulsi just destroys her. So truly tell me, which party is hurting democracy? And listen, I didn't compare any of them to Hitler. Because why? Hitler gassed people. He killed millions of people, and no one in the USA is doing that. So I'm not comparing them to Hitler. But if you want to talk about, like, which party doesn't truly care about your vote, your person, listen, I think a lot of them are corrupt. I think a lot of Republicans are corrupt. I think a lot of them are money hungry. I don't know how you can enter into a political office as, you know, someone who's making $90,000 a year, and then all of a sudden, 4 years later, and you've been in politics this whole time, working for the people, working for the taxpayers, and all of a sudden you're a millionaire. Something is fishy. But as a whole, one of the parties is hurting, quote unquote, democracy more than others. What you say matters. Coming back to that. And we see that to be the case all the way back to 2020. Remember when LeBron James came out and said black people are being hunted every time they step outside? Hunted. Every time. Every day they step outside. That's crazy. And if you think that someone's not listening to that and going to act upon that, then you're crazy. Of course they will. Of course someone would. If they believe that, oh my gosh, someone is hunting me, of course they're going to go and fight. Of course they're going to go and protest. Of course they're going to go and riot. That's the only logical solution. We know that, of course, that's not true. But if a leader comes out and says those things, then your instinct is, oh my gosh, is he seeing something I'm not? I'm going to go fight. And that makes sense. If in 2020, Republicans are being constantly told the election was stolen. The election was stolen. The election was stolen. The election was stolen. Listen, I'm not talking about whether they're right or wrong, okay? I'm talking about what you're hearing. Of course, your reaction is going to be, I need to go and help. I need to go and take it back. If it was stolen, I need to go take it back. And then on January 6th, you see them going to the Capitol. What you say matters. Words matter. How you communicate about people has a tremendous effect. Period. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Terence McKenna said, the world is made up of words. And I'm sure there has different meanings and all these different things. And you could take it, I'm sure, a ton of different ways. But the way I take it, and I'm sure a lot of people, is how you speak makes up your world, makes up who surrounds you, who your friends are, how much you speak to God, how much you speak to Jesus. Determines the level of friendship that you have. How you speak to your children will determine the relationship that you have with them. How you speak to the congregation will determine and will dictate the love that is showed or maybe an anger towards them. They'll feel it. The marriage. Your world is made up of your words, how you're speaking. Yes, I know there's actions involved and all these different things. So my question to you is, do you want a world of life where you are speaking kind and being loving and being compassionate? Or death, and maybe that's a harsh word, but everything is negative. Your mood is negative. Your outlook on life is negative. And it prevents you from having this joy in the morning. And again, I'm not talking about being real, okay, being like a realist. I'm talking like something good happens and it's just negative, negative, negative. You can't allow yourself to be happy. What fruit are you eating of? And what fruit are you producing? Life or death? Positive or constant negative? And I know I can give all these different caveats. We have bad days, we have good days, all these different things. But you still should be aware of how you're communicating. When you call someone Hitler enough times and say they will destroy democracy enough times, someone is bound to eat of that fruit and post up on a roof and try and shoot the man that you are talking about. It's bound to happen. It's just a reality, clearly. He didn't just do it. He was affected and ate of a fruit and committed an act. So, going forward, how are you going to communicate? And again, sometimes you have to be honest, okay? I'm not necessarily talking about just never saying anything or, not being truthful. Okay? Not talking about that. Because we know that the Bible says in Proverbs 27:6, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. Okay, so I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about just being fake nice. I'm talking about lying so much, knowing you're lying, or being willfully ignorant towards a situation like the media constantly is. That's what I'm talking about. There's going to be consequences for that. And we've seen it. Listen, I pray for Biden. A lot. He's the pilot on the airplane I'm in. You think I want to crash? You think I want to go down? That's crazy. If Kamala wins, I'm going to pray for her. She's going to be the pilot of the plane I'm in, the captain of the ship. If Trump wins, I'm going to pray for him. He's the pilot of the plane that we're in. Even if you don't believe in what they're doing or how they're acting and behaving, you need to pray. Listen, Biden is not Hitler. Biden is not Stalin. Our country will continue to function, God willing. And we will have another election. And another election, and so on and so forth. But when you're like, Trump is Hitler destroying the democracy, you just sound silly. You sound like a silly goose. And I don't want that to be us. I don't want that to be our nation, where we're just constantly in division and disunity. Because we're buying in to the lies that are being told about our leaders. And I think, again, the extreme lies. Because there's a lot of things that are truthful. But you have to be able to, like I said, filter, say, okay, is that true? Okay, I'm going to go fact check. Is that not true? Okay, that's not true? Okay. I'm going to filter that out. Not hold on to it. I'm going to filter it out. And move on. And be able to have the victory and the joy of the Lord. And if you're not a Christian, and man, I would just want to encourage you to have a different perspective on life. Listen, politics is not everything. It's a lot, but it's not everything. Politics does not determine where you spend where your soul spends eternity. Salvation does. Your salvation in Christ. So, what you say matters. Again, I'm not talking about being real. Hear my heart. Because there are things about Kamala Harris I do not agree with. And the Bible does not agree with. And you have to have a biblical lens. So it's not that I'm not going to say those things, but I will never lie about her and make you believe something that's not true about her. Why? Because what I say matters. I'm going to speak the truth. I'm going to speak real. But I'm not going to be extreme when I do it. All I'm going to do is speak the truth. All right. I'm done talking about politics. I want to talk to you real quick. I'm finishing up about a challenge that I am going to start. What's today? I don't know. But I'm going to start it Monday, July 29th. Monday, July 29th. This challenge is called the 75 Hard Challenge. It's an internet challenge. So let me explain what it is. It's 5 things that go along with the 75 Hard Challenge, and it's 75 straight days, no days off, 75 straight. I'm going to do my best to make this happen and to do it every day. So what are the rules? Well, according to the internet, the 5 rules are: you drink a gallon of water every single day. You read 10 pages of a book, nonfiction book, every day. You take a progress pic every single day. You follow a diet of some sort. And you work out twice a day, 45 minutes each time, and one of those workouts has to be outside. So those are the 5 rules, the 5 challenges of the 75 Hard Challenge. Now, I am going to put a little Christian twist on this, and I'm going to add 5 more. So 10 total. If you're watching me, you got 10 fingers up. I'm going to read the Bible every day. Pray every day. I'm going to listen to one sermon every day. I'm going to journal every day. And I'm going to monitor my screen time on my phone every day. So the screen time one, you might not want to count that, I guess, as a part of the 10. But those 10 things. Starting Monday, July 29th, I'm going to begin the 75 Hard Challenge. Listen, this is going to be tough for me. The toughest part, I think, is going to be on Sundays, because Sundays are busy. Church Sunday morning, Sunday night, afternoons, eating and whatever, sleep and all these different things. So Sundays are going to be tough. Sticking to a diet, that's going to be tough for me. I can already tell you, because I like ice cream a lot. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is just continuing to intermittent fast. Some of these things I already do. Pray, read my Bible. That one sermon a day, I don't always make happen. The diet, I don't always make happen. Working out twice a day, I don't always make happen. So these are going to be hard challenges. But I'm going to do it for 75 days. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I want to present you with an opportunity to do it with me. You can either do all 10 of these every single day for 75 days. Or you can maybe do 10 days of it or 20 days of it. Maybe you have a vacation planned and you know it's not going to happen. So you want to do it all the way up into that vacation time. I think that would be awesome. Maybe you just know you have 5 kids and only one workout is plausible. Cool. Do one workout. We'll call it the 75 Hard Medium. Maybe you can't do the workout part because of an injury, but you can do the other 9. Then hop in and do the other 9. Don't say, well, I can't do one thing, so I'm just not going to do all of it. I don't think that's helping either. I would love for every single person that listens to this to maybe do 5 of the challenges, and we'll call it 75 Hard Medium. 75 medium, not hard. Or maybe it is hard for you, so call it 75 hard. I don't know. So my challenge to you, let's just break it down. Either do all 75 days with me, try your best, of all 10 challenges. Maybe 75 days of 5 challenges because, again, you're milking an injury or whatever it is. You have an injury, you can't work out. So you can do the other things, though. You could read a book. You could pray. You could read your Bible. You can listen to a sermon. You can stick to a diet, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can do all 10, but not for 75 days straight. So you can do it for 10. You can do it for 5. You can do it for 20, whatever it is. Those are my 3 that I think would be awesome if people jumped in. Let me know. I'm going to be posting more on social media, which I already do. I post a lot on my Instagram because why have it if you're not going to post? I just, be a fan of a ton of other people's lives. Well, might as well just post my stuff too. So, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'll post this on social media as well, and the challenge itself. And I hope that you will join. If you don't, no worries. I love you. I'm grateful that you listened to this. I hope I made sense. I hope I challenged you maybe in some way. I'm looking forward to the 75 hard challenge. It's going to be exactly that. Tough, hard, but I like doing hard things. So it'll be a good time. I love you. I pray for you. Pray for peace. Pray for mercy. Pray that God just reveals himself in a new way to every single one of you. If you don't know him, listen. He loves you so much. And he wants a relationship with you. So, I'm going to leave you with that. I love you. Peace.